Okay, it is 9 o'clock. Today is Thursday, June 19th, 2025. This is the annual owner-member meeting, along with the governing board meeting. I'm adding feedback here. I'm talking to the guys in the booth. Sound check, no. I am going to call to order the 2024-25 annual owner-member meeting. I'm going to call that to order. If you're able to stand, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Can you all hear me? Barely. Yeah, a lot of feedback. They're scrambling in the booth to fix this. Okay, I'll do my best. We have a quorum. We have our members, our directors up here, and we have one on Zoom. John Chatton, are you there?
I am.
Okay, great, thank you. I will read the meeting procedures statement. The governing board and its committees conduct all of their meetings in compliance with the Arizona Planned Community Association open meeting laws per ARS 33-1804 and in concert with RCSCW bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures, as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules of Order, will also be followed in all meetings as appropriate, consistent with Bylaw 3.07, entitled Procedures for Owner-Member Meetings, in Standing Rules number 2 and number 3. And with that, I will turn the microphone over to our general manager for his report.
Thank you, President Leary, and good morning, everybody. Great to be at my first annual meeting. Super excited about that, and appreciate you all coming out this morning. We're going to go through some of the highlights from this year, and then at the end, we're going to have an opportunity for you to ask any questions of us as well. All right, so again, my name is Stephen Arno. I'm the general manager here, and I am now 10 months in. And one of the things that I'm really excited that we got accomplished, and kudos to the board for working this through, was our strategic plan. So the strategic plan was developed with the input from the governing board members as well as the staff in order to determine what are the goals for the next 1 to 3 years. And these are the things that basically the governing board is telling me as a general manager, here are your goals, here are the things that you're being rated on essentially, here's your performance goals, and have laid out basically this roadmap. And on that roadmap, we have these 6 strategic focus areas, and there are 40 different projects and initiatives that we'll be working on for the next 1 to 3 years. And through that process, we'll be providing updates to the board and to the community as well. If you have not had a chance to check that out, it is available online, and you can go on there and take a look at what those different areas are, what the different priorities are, and what the different projects are. And again, we'll be looking for that. What will happen is this is a living document, so this is not something that's just been created and will sit on a shelf. Each year, this will be updated with a sort of mini strategic planning session with the governing board at that time to review of what's been accomplished, what would they like to have added, and then what things maybe they need to reevaluate as to whether it's still a priority for them or not. So again, this is set up in a way that is going to be forevermore the document that we use through our planning processes. All right, we just want to run through some of the capital projects that were accomplished this year. We had about 50 of them that were done, and that's a lot. You know, we always have a lot going on with capital projects. And these are all the things that are budgeted that the governing board has said, hey, take care of these. Some of them, I just want to kind of run through some of the highlights. We had the Palm Ridge indoor deck and wainscoting that was took place there. Really nice upgrade there. We had the also the pickleball facility, some shade that was put in. We redid the ceiling on the Beersley parking lot, and some folks looked at that and said, hey, why are we doing that? Well, that's an important process to make sure we seal so we get the most amount of life possible out of that asphalt. We also had the warranty issue. I'm sure many of you are aware of some of the challenges we've had with the decking. That was actually removed and replaced by the contractor. We do continue. We realize there still continues to be some issues with different areas, and we're working with the contractor on those issues to get those resolved. But that was a great thing to get fixed, because there was definitely some problems with the original installation. We also did some upgrades there in the lecture hall, so we made it to where we were able to have some efficiency by putting some monitors down on the floor, which eliminated the need to print a lot of printing that we were doing for the governing board members for all of the packets and such. So now all of those things are shown on the monitors for them, and eliminating that need for all that cost of printing for every meeting. We also took care of some of the Palm Ridge pickleball courts and tennis courts, some really nice resurface project there, as well as the Desert Trails Pro Shop expansion, really nice addition there as well. That's a great asset to us now. And again, also some pool deck renovation over at Palm Ridge. All right, in CC&Rs and member services, just kind of wanted to give you an overview of what that looks like under the CC&R. So here's kind of a breakdown of the majority of those issues, and most of these things are solved quickly, as you can see through the chart there. It might be a little hard to read, but essentially what it's showing is the tall graph line is showing that the first stage, which is essentially the letter and asking folks to get resolved any kind of issue they might have, and that's usually the case where that happens. And then we have kind of the number one issues we have: landscaping, recreational vehicles, nuisances. These are kind of the order in which most of these fall in. So they're very busy with managing those CC&R compliance issues and getting them resolved as fast as they can. They're also super busy with the billing year-round. So we had a total of 507 properties sold this year. And if you notice, it used to be that, and it still is, the majority of the billing that happens in those months of April and May, and that still is, but it's also kind of leveling out now. So that means, year-round we're sending out those statements and then responding to those questions and concerns of the members that are getting those billing statements. And this is just showing how we are definitely an owner-based association, as well as some other folks that are in there, but the majority of our members are owner members. And this I thought was interesting, just the changing demographic. We talk about this a lot, but right now we're at over 1,500 Gen Xers, which doesn't seem like a lot relative to the entire community, but when you think about it, that's actually a 43% increase just from last year. And the other interesting thing is the median age at 75, that was 76 last year. So within a year, that's dropped down, and we're anticipating that's going to continue as, again, more and more Gen Xers come into the community, and some of the other folks age out of the community as well. So just thought it'd be interesting to share kind of where we're at with that demographic. Facility maintenance. I asked the staff to show this. I think one of the things that gets lost on folks is how much maintenance is involved with keeping the places looking as great as they do, and the staff does an amazing job at this. But you think about over 1 million gallons of water they have to maintain. You're talking about even just something as simple as the doors, 964 doors. Well, those doors, they break. You have the automatic door openers, things like that, showers and faucets and toilets, drinking fountains. All these things require maintenance, and all of them are maintained by this amazing staff here. So these folks, they did over 2,600 tickets last year of issues to be worked on, and they did it with this very small and efficient staff, and they really do an amazing job. I mean, I can't say enough about them, of how much hard work they do to keep everything working great. Facility operations, I think what's interesting about this is the number of check-ins that we have. So this is basically all the different facilities and how many of you all are coming to the facilities to enjoy them, and how much staff it takes to maintain that. If you think about that total number of check-ins, those are each individual people coming in every single day to use our facilities, and the folks that have to keep those, to greet those folks and maintain those facilities for them. That's a lot, and they do a fantastic job over there. Our facilities staff under Sabrina, they really take care of people as they come in, and making sure they're greeting them and making sure that they're providing them with a warm and inviting atmosphere. So kudos to them as well. They're doing a fantastic job, and that's a lot of people coming through the door on a regular basis. One thing I wanted to highlight, as some of you recall, is the governing board did pass a change to the policy when it came to guest passes, and we implemented that this past year. And this kind of gives an idea of what that looks like as far as the total guest passes that were issued. But we moved to the wristbands, and it's been very well received, the multi-day guest pass, and folks are enjoying the fact that they can more easily get their guests in it and on one day and allow them to be in the next 2 to 3 days without having to come back and check them in again. So this has been something that's worked out really well. We still continue to look at ways to improve this, and we'll be looking at ways from a technology standpoint to improve the process as well to make it more efficient. All right, in general services, we've really are ramping up and switching towards more from a marketing and branding standpoint, and that's actually one of the items that's on the strategic plan. So we're kind of heading that direction already. We put out, these were a big hit, the Sun City West postcards were available and limited supply, and they went really fast. We've actually also upgraded the GM report. One of the things when I got here that I looked at the GM report and just felt like it needed to be a little more visibly appealing. It basically was just a lot of words. And now it says the same thing, but it has a more visually appealing look to it. The strategic plan was put together by our marketing team. Katie, she did a great job putting this in, again, also into a visually appealing format, because when we got it done, it was just, again, basically just the words. And Rec Center News, does an amazing job every time putting that together. And that's a process in itself as well to make sure that comes out looking great for our community. Also been really working on outreach and education. So I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on my GM videos, and that's really is thanks to the folks behind the scenes, Martin and Katie, that helped make that happen. I enjoy doing them, and I've said this to many people that they are done pretty raw. We usually do them one take. And I want it that way. I don't want it to be polished. I don't want it to be come across, put together and edited. It pretty much is, as long as I don't screw it up too bad, we put it out the way it was done. We also put through the Torch class. Great opportunity. If you haven't been through Torch, I would highly recommend it. I went through that myself, and it really is a great way to get an understanding of how the community works and how it's set up, because we are very different from places that folks may have come from before, in the sense that we do not have an actual local government. We are simply a county-based organization. And then we are going to have we have the Rec Center News photo contest. I'm not sure if any of you participated in that, but the team did a great job of taking some photos of things that, if you know the areas, you might recognize it, but might take a little extra time to figure them out as well. It was kind of fun. And in fact, even our staff, we did a staff meeting to see how many of them could identify where the photos were from. So that's been a big hit as well. Over at the library, we added the seed library to the as an amenity there. That went really, really well. That was very much well received by our patrons there. Rearranged some of the reading room areas, and then we changed regular circle tables to those coffee table height ones, so doing some changes there to make it more inviting there as well. Our summer kickoff and puzzle kickoff, and I saw that just got completed. That was 22,000 pieces. There I am doing it. Believe me, I was zero help. I looked like I was doing something, but I really had no idea what I was doing. I'm not a puzzle guy, and they're tiny little pieces. I would go insane. All right, over in golf maintenance, main project we got going on right now is the Echo Mesa project. So that is on schedule for completion here in August for the irrigation, and then in September. And then we'll go into the overseeding on that. So that's been coming along great. Todd's done a great job managing that project. And then some other projects we've had going on down there. You'll see them, the driving range, tee leveling, and softening the bunkers and things like that. So always a lot going on out there. Todd and his team, they really work hard to make sure those golf courses look amazing, and they always do. Here's just kind of a taste of what that looks like, switching to the desert landscaping. That tee box was one that was, I went out there myself, and it's really nice now, because I don't know what it was before, but apparently it was a pretty steep incline there that's been leveled out really nicely. This is great too. So, water, of course, is a big concern for everybody all the time. We have our conservation allotment of 3,897 acre feet, and we actually were 38 acre feet below that conservation level, so which is 5 acre feet per course below on our water usage. So we are definitely doing a good job of keeping our eye on the water usage and making sure that we're using that precious resource appropriately. So that's really good news there. And then, of course, Todd's also responsible for the landscaping in general. So we've done some the mini golf tree replacements out there, some of these other projects, landscaping over at Coons. So a lot of things always happening in Todd's area with not only the golf courses, but just landscaping in general, and his team do a great job managing all that, and it's a lot of work and it's a lot of hard work, so I appreciate all they do. And if you hadn't had a chance, we actually had the USGA out for their site visit. That site visit report is available online. A lot of great information in there. One of the key things that they talked about was they were actually pretty amazed at how well the courses were maintained relative to the number of staff that we have, because we actually are understaffed by industry standards. But yet what they're putting out using that with the number of staff we have, how they're producing the results out there are just phenomenal. So great report, again, available online if you've not had a chance to take a look at that. It's got some really good information in there. Over in golf operations, so we had budgeted 320,000 rounds for golf ops, and at the end of May, we were at 305. We expect them to come somewhere around 316 or so, which again is pretty much right on target. A few thousand rounds less than our budget is not of concern, but this just kind of gives you an idea of where we're at with the different rounds being played and who's actually out there playing. Obviously, the majority of being our members that are actually enjoying our courses. 79% of them, as a matter of fact, are the ones that are playing out there. Public makes up 10%, guests 8%, and employees 3%. The green team, I just wanted to focus on this a little bit. If you're not familiar with the green team, I think this is a great opportunity. And I was just touting this to somebody recently that was like, "Oh, I'm not a golfer." Well, this is a great way to get into golf if you've not done it before. And the thing about golf, I get it. Like, it can be intimidating. There's a lot of rules and a lot of etiquette that goes along with it. And this is a great way to get involved. You are in the green team. They come out and they play, and they get to learn not only how to play, but also how to manage the etiquettes and all that. And in 2025, we actually had 37 golfers that came out of that that continue to play regularly on our courses. And that's part of the goal as well, is we want to get people into the game of golf and then kind of hook them in so they continue to keep playing golf, because it really is a great game, and also it is for us something that provides additional revenue. And again, we are a golfing community, so we want to make sure that folks that maybe feel like, oh, I can't do that they have a way to get out there and learn. And speaking of getting out there, I'm super excited about, is that we also added this solo rider, single rider golf cart, and this is a great amenity that we have now. So this is over at Stardust, but we can move it wherever anybody wants to play at. So if you or have some limitations physically that you need some help with something like this is available, and we can move it to that course if you give us enough time to, when you make your reservation, to let us know, hey, I need this. But really is a great way that folks that maybe wouldn't normally be able to play can get out and still enjoy the game of golf. So really nice addition to our amenities here. All right, over in human resources, busy all the time. So they hired 116 employees this past 12 months, and that's a lot. When you think about what it takes to bring in a new employee on from recruitment to onboarding and all the processes that it takes to do that, and they do a lot of work to get folks in here through different recruiting methods. For example, we use not only LinkedIn, we use Indeed, Facebook, we have our webpage. We also partner with different local cities for their job fairs, and of course, employee referrals. That's a big one that we get folks that are just being referred from other employees. So if you're interested in working for the rec centers, you can go online and you can look at what positions are available, and there's definitely things out there. There's opportunities for folks to come and join our team. HR is also responsible for employee training. And one of the big ones we just recently did was we partnered with Arizona Fire and Medical, and we did the AED and the CCC training. 150 employees and board members also went through, some of the board members went through that as well, to really understand how to use the AED. And the AEDs are very simple to use, but the reality is there's an intimidation factor that comes with that in the event that you actually have to use them. So giving folks the ability to kind of touch that and use that in a situation that's not stressful and life-threatening is a great way to provide that. In addition to that training, HR does a whole lot of other things. So we do heat exhaustion, active shooter, we do bee and snake awareness, lightning strikes, hazardous materials, incident reporting, all types of things, annual review training to make sure that our supervisors are providing an annual review to everybody and are consistent with that. So a lot going on in the training world within HR as well. And then they also help with making sure that we're providing that great work culture. So for example, we have now, and we did kind of a soft launch on this, and we're probably going to be pushing out a little bit more soon, but if you haven't seen, we have our new kudos cards. So at monitor stations, at the golf courses, things like that, at the pro shops, you'll see a QR code. If you had a great interaction with one of our team, you can scan that code and you can fill out a form that just talks about what that interaction was, who the employee was, and we're able to then recognize that employee for the good work they're doing. If you don't have the ability to use the QR code or you're not comfortable with that, there's also a form that you can fill out, a paper form, and fill in. We launched that at the beginning of May, and already we're only a couple months in and we're well over 50 responses from community members talking about what a great experience they had with our team. So we're going to take those and use those to continue to build our team and make sure that they understand how much they are appreciated, because they really do a great job out there. Some of the other things we have for our employees, we have our employee golf. We're talking about if we can do maybe some employee bowling. We have our internal centerline newspaper that we do. We have a couple of different events where we recognize them through some banquets in August and December. We celebrate their accomplishments. We have, share a meal with them. We serve them even at them. The management team does. Recognize Employee of the Year, Innovator, Lifesaver, and Rising Star Awards. So we definitely go out our way to make sure that we are recognizing our team members. There we go. And I thought it'd be fun to share some interesting facts about our employees. So currently, we have 450 employees that we have right now, and 60% of them are actually reside in Sun City West, and that's a big number there. And I think what's interesting about this as well, if you look at the average age of our employees is 61, and whereas the average age in the workforce is 42. So that just is really telling as to, the people that a lot of people that we hire here, the majority of them, they're not here seeking necessarily a career path. I mean, a lot of them have already retired, because again, they're community members. And so they're looking to be social, they're looking for ways to meet people, a little extra income maybe. Some of them enjoy the reduced golf expense, a little extra spending money. And then oftentimes those folks, even though they might stay with us for a while, they realize, hey, I actually enjoyed being retired better. So they go back to, they want to retire again, they want to maybe be closer to family, or they have health concerns that prevent them and require them to leave us. But even with all that, our average tenure for our employees at 6.9 years compared to in the hospitality industry at 2 years, really doing a great job of employee retention in our organization. So super proud of that. All right, some stuff in IT. So one of the things that you may or not be aware of, we did hire a new IT director, Kyle Hockman, and Kyle's done a great job already looking at different things and making some improvements. One of the things that we've done that is pretty significant is we replaced all of our phone system with a voice over IP phones, so basically ones that are internet-based phones, and that actually reduced our annual cost by about $8,600 per month. So that'll more than pay for itself in about 15 months. He's also done some network optimization. So we actually increased our internet speeds and decreased our cost by working with Cox and going through and auditing, and we're continuing to do that through some of the different club networks and our public Wi-Fi, so we're expecting to have some additional improvements there as well. We also have moved towards using laptops for key employees versus desktops. Before we had both desktops and laptops, which of course that's additional expense. We've moved towards moving to just laptops with a docking station, and that allows us, I can bring my laptop with me, I can bring it here, and I'll be on the network and I'll be able to perform functions that I wasn't able to do before, so great improvement there. And then also the Windows 10 to Windows 11, this is a big deal because a lot of companies and businesses are actually still a little bit behind the eight ball on this, and this is super important because without getting this up to date, you're looking at some serious security issues. So done a great job of getting over 100 PCs converted just since January and making sure that our system is secure. Over in recreation, As you all know, we have 91 amazing charter clubs. I've always, when I was looking at this opportunity, that's one of the things I thought was the coolest thing about us was those charter clubs and all the different things we can do. And just wanted to highlight a few of the things that those clubs have done over the last 12 months. Really great stuff going on. Softball raising some funds, pickleball raising money. Theater West, we got them back up and running, got that reinstated, the 501c3. And of course, ARC with their car show is always a big hit. So a lot going on with the clubs, and Casey does a great job managing those folks and all of their needs and making sure that they're able to thrive and do what they need to do. This is another one that always amazes me. So scheduling. So our scheduling folks, again, this is one of those behind the scenes things that people don't necessarily think about. Over 17,000 different scheduling interactions that we had, from charter clubs, to, the governing board, the rec centers, reservations, different events. That's all managed by our scheduling team, and that's a lot in a year to manage and help folks get their reservations in place so they can have the events and the fun things that they want to do and make sure that everybody has access to the facilities. And speaking of events, we added some new ones this year. We had our Munchies Mondays, went off really well, and as well as some of these other different type of events that we have added. So they're doing a great job, and that's one of the things also on the strategic plan is to continue to look at different events and different ways that we can provide opportunities for our members to enjoy the facilities and the retirement lifestyle that they want here. And trips and tours, I like this too. This is a great way for folks to get out, go to these different things, and the fact that we had 24 of them and 19 of them sold out, that just shows the popularity of these events. So we continue to look at different things that we can do and offer so that folks can not only do fun things here, but also take little trips and tours and such to get out and enjoy things as well. And I know this has been a big hit, so I want to thank the Friends of the Library. They were for the longest time providing the movie nights, and they were not able to continue that, so staff did a great job of stepping up and getting that, continuing that over at Stardust Theater. So if you haven't gone to movie nights, check them out. It's a great way to get out and enjoy some time with your friends and watch a movie together. And again, thank you to the Friends of the Library for what they've done, and thank you to our staff, Casey and them and Tia for getting this back up and running as well. Over the Sports Pavilion, just wanted to highlight, so the last year, you've seen a dramatic increase in our different, not only the usage of the lanes, but also all the usage of that. So the billiards, the games, league bowling, and one of the things that Gary's done a great job, Gary Zirk, who is the manager over that, has really emphasized looking at ways to make sure that our members, providing access for our members, additional access for our members, so that they can get out and enjoy the lanes and they're not always filled with league games. So, but with that, you can see how much we've increased the usage of the Sports Pavilion, and that's great. I'm excited to see that. And we're going to continue to look at ways that we can do that. And with that, I'm going to kick this over to Cliff real fast to give his portion, and then we'll come back and wrap it up with some questions.
Thank you, Stephen. Notice how he said real fast. I caught that in there. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the finances here. It's been a good year, but in the finance team, a couple of kind of big rocks that we moved this year was, first of all, our annual audit. That starts up in really right about now and finishes up in August. And we had a very good audit for the prior fiscal year. In fact, we finished with the highest level of assurance and a non-modified opinion in our financial audit. So that was a big accomplishment for not just the finance team, but the association as a whole. And then the annual budget. We finished up our annual budget about a month ago, and that was a big accomplishment for us as well. So with that said, let's talk about how the year went, or how we anticipate. This is the projected financial results. This is May year to date plus June budget. So looking at our financial results, if we look at our revenues and expenses, we came in about 1.8% less on revenue. Some of that was attributed to a decrease in to budget to golf rounds that kind of impacted us. We didn't do as well in our events either. So those were kind of like the two main factors in that variance to budget. But we finished about $1.1 million we anticipate finishing about 1.1 million ahead on our expenses. So we more than made up for the lack of revenue. And so if we take that down to the estimated reserve allocation, which when we talk about our reserve allocation, we allocate a portion of our member dues. And then at the end of the year, if there's any excess, that also goes into the reserve allocation from operations. So we budgeted 1.157 million, and we're anticipating ending the year at 1.7 million. So about a $550,000 positive variance to budget going into our reserves fund, which is pretty awesome. So if we're looking at our capital improvement budget, we take a look, we budgeted $10,349,000 in capital improvement funds, and we're projecting to finish the year at 10.1 million. So about a $243,000 or 2.3% favorable variance or savings to our budget on our capital improvement projects. Just as the operating excess goes into the reserve fund, so does the savings in our capital improvement budget. So those are funds that we don't need to pull out of our reserve fund at the end of the day that stay in the reserve fund. So looking at our asset preservation fees. So our asset preservation fees go directly into our reserve fund or directly fund our capital projects. And for the year, we budgeted 1,100. We're anticipating, we're projecting 1,118. So right on budget with APF revenue. There were some, in the past, we were able to recapture some APF revenue for non-traditional type transactions that happen with home sales. And some of those non-traditional transactions with the ARS change, we're not able to collect APF fees on those. So that's why we're a little under budget at about 74,000, even though we hit our total number of title transfers that we budgeted. Still pretty good, pretty close. All right, so our reserve fund. So we invest our reserve fund, which at the beginning of the year was about a little over 30 million. And this is a summary of how we anticipate our reserve fund. This is May year to date plus estimated investment income for June. But had a pretty good year at approximately 1.6 million. Our investment income from interest and dividends, this is after our investment fees, is going to come in at about 1.1 million, which is pretty incredible. And then we had a net gain loss, realized and unrealized, of about 500,000, so or 450,000. So overall, 1.6 million reserve fund performance, which all that stays within the reserve fund itself. So any positivity there obviously helps the reserve fund balance. So it's all about the cash, right? So at the end of the year, what's the impact on cash? And that's really what it's all about. And so if we take our reserve fund at the beginning of the year at 30.4 million, that includes the annual transfer, which didn't happen until November. So if I add the annual transfer into there, with our estimated reserve allocation of 1.7 million, our APFs at about 5.7 million, and our investment change at about 1.6 million, those are all the cash inflows into our reserve fund. And then if we take out the capital project expenditures of 10.1 million, we'll finish the year at about 29.3 million. So not too bad. I mean, we had 10 million in capital improvement projects. We had 30.4 million in the reserve fund at the beginning of the year, and we're going to finish the year at 29.3 million. Pretty successful year. So overall, if you take our projected fully funded balance, this is the used portion of all the assets in our reserve study, we're going to finish the year at about 48%. We budgeted 47%, so we did a great job this year in our reserve fund. So again, it's all about the reserve fund. It's all about the cash. Turn it back over to Mr. Erno.
All right, thank you, Cliff. So with that, we are, of course, like it says, I just want to thank everyone for a great year and for everyone's support. For me personally, I appreciate that, and I apologize for the microphone noise. There we go. Definitely want to thank the governing board for what a great year it's been, and those that are coming off the board, appreciate your service on the board. And for those of you coming on, looking forward to working with you. But again, with that, we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. If you want to come to the microphone for us, it'd be great.
Thank you. One of the things I came to talk about was the landscaping, and I noticed that is one of your big projects. I was talking to the workers that I see in the morning, and they said there used to be 29, and now they're down to 5, and they're just overwhelmed. So I wondered, could you tell me kind of what kind of things you have in mind, hopefully, to work on the landscaping? Thank you.
Yep, sure. So Todd, you want me to talk about that a little bit? Now that I put this on here, I'm going to take it back off again. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Yeah, in our landscape department, just like our golf maintenance department, we are running a pretty lean operation, and we did have upwards of 29 employees years ago, and so those have dropped off a little bit. During that time, though, we've hired on an outsourced landscaping company that really helps a lot. They do the maintenance around the rec centers and things like that. So we're looking at even adding a few more employees to the outsourced company to help out a little bit. But, you know, this time of the year in the summer, it's a little bit of a struggle to get everything done, all the trimming and the mowing. And, of course, your water needs, those increase. We do pretty good in the winter months when things slow down a little bit. But we've got 3 or 4 months that it is a struggle to get everything done. But that outsourced company that we have, it certainly helps a little bit. So.
All right, any other questions for us? Yeah.
Question about the pool decking, what's happening with that? What's going on?
Yeah, so we're working with the vendor right now. Maybe, Dave, do you want to talk about kind of what the status of that is? But yeah, there's some struggle still with that, but there's always a struggle with anything dealing with water for sure. But here you go.
Yeah, thank you. So the on the presentation, you saw that last year the pool decking at R.H. Johnson was replaced. That is still under warranty, and there are some locations that don't look good that need to be repaired, and we want them to come back and repair that. And we had them back here last week, and we walked both R.H. Johnson and Palm Ridge, and where the plan is they're going to come back in September to do all of the repairs. We could do them ourselves. We've been trained, but we want them to do that based on the fact that it's under warranty. They did do one repair at R.H. Johnson, which was at the spa. And then we went to Palm Ridge to walk that. They were supposed to have a local vendor available to meet with us so that the repairs would be done locally. That vendor wasn't available that day. Took about 2 months to get them to actually show up, which was a challenge, but they said that getting someone local and connected with us would solve that problem. So we're still working with them. It is scheduled for September that they would come back to finish all the repairs at R.H. Johnson, and they will be addressing the issues. There's just a few over at Palm Ridge.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Right, and my comment is similar. The pool decking at the R.H. Johnson, people just love to pick it off. People pick it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they do.
We need stronger epoxy so people can't flip pieces up.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. All right, any other questions? Yes, sir.
How long is the warranty on that decking? I mean, it's not even a year. And they're stalling, you know. what's the warranty's gonna be up and we're gonna be responsible for it when it's,
It's a good question that I have researched. I just can't off the top of my head tell you the exact
Russ, do you remember?
warranty. I think it's 5 years. So it's still under warranty, and we're not letting them skate. We're going to make sure that if it has to be replaced, then by industry standards, we will have that proven, and that's what they'll do. But right now, it's just the repairs that we're looking at. So at any rate, we've got an extended warranty with them on that.
Yeah, and just know, listen, we're just as frustrated with it ourselves. I mean, it's obviously something we would like to get resolved, so we're doing what we can with them, and we'll make sure that we hold them accountable for that, so we'll get it fixed. All right. What other questions we got? All right, well then with that, I will turn it back over to you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. I will move over to the lectern for my presentation. Too much technology. Okay, good morning. My name is Jack Leary, and I am the current governing board president. Many thanks to Stephen and the operations staff. They are the ones who keep Sun City West looking great and operating well. So please thank them individually and recognize their contributions that make this an amazing place to live. Now with that, it's my honor to present the 2024-25 Annual Governing Board Report. As a reminder, the Governing Board consists of 9 directors elected by the association's owner members. The Governing Board is responsible for setting policy and direction for the association, or what you've heard me call the what of the association. That is, what direction, what topics, what issues, and so on the board will address. We just heard from Stephen, who is accountable for the how. That is, how the board's policies and directions are implemented. I'll be discussing the highlights of the what that the governing board has done this fiscal year. This fiscal year followed a year filled with much drama and turmoil. If you think back, we had the second recall election in 2 years, the resignations of our sports pavilion manager, our general manager, and interim general manager, changes to the board, and a search for a new general manager, much of it happening in the final months of 2023-24. As the incoming president at that time, it certainly looked like we'd be off to a rocky start in July 2024. I didn't know what I had signed up for. So with that background, I'll review some of the notable achievements of the governing board in this fiscal year. So last summer, the General Manager Search Committee was in full swing, reviewing resumes, interviewing candidates, hosting on-site candidate visits, and presenting the final 3 candidates to the board. This committee, chaired by former Director Ann Brown, did a magnificent job of narrowing the candidate field and presenting only the best candidates. As we all know, Stephen was the candidate of choice and has been our General Manager since September. Kudos to the stellar results and outcome of the search committee. The board, having collaborated well to hire a new general manager, gelled to work as a unit. We agreed on directions and set 2 goals for fiscal year 2024-25. The board's #1 goal for the year was to create a strategic plan for the association. This plan would become our North Star and be the basis for what the association would do over the next 3 years. Our second goal was to address our technology needs, to free staff to focus on value-added activities and to enhance members' experiences when interacting with the association and our facilities, and more on these goals in a bit. The board's standing and special committees began their work in September. Now, since the committee chairs will shortly be delivering their year-end reports, I'll let them speak to their results. And of course, the board approved a budget last month for next fiscal year, 2025-26. The budgeting process was streamlined to reduce confusion and redundancy and to clarify roles and responsibilities for capital projects. The result was a solid, well-reviewed budget that will carry the association forward into the next fiscal year and beyond. In October, the Property Owners and Residents Association, known as PORA, approached the governing board seeking to make all Sun City West cardholders mandatory dues-paying members of PORA. While the board strongly supports PORA's mission, there are significant legal reasons why it could not and did not honor PORA's request. The board carried out its fiduciary responsibilities to protect its members from a request that, while honorable and well-intended, would have likely resulted in expensive litigation, not to mention imposing unexpected financial commitment upon cardholders. So throughout this fiscal year, the board approved several policy changes. Changes in Arizona laws required changes to several policies. Policies M01, membership and activity cards for facility use, FY13, the collection policy, and FY17, asset preservation fee, were all updated so that our financial practices complied with Arizona law. Policy M03, entitled Cardholder Guest and Daily Guest Fee Policy, was updated to accommodate the operational changes to the guest passes that Stephen highlighted. Multi-day passes went into effect that allowed cardholders to purchase guest passes in quantities of 1, 2, or 3 days without having to show up each day to make the purchase. And while there are some kinks being worked out in the process, this overdue policy change was made to honor the requests of our members, and I believe it was actually at this meeting a year ago that was made. Policy M03 was further changed to formalize anecdotal language into the policy. The result is that, quote, the recreation center's facilities have been paid for jointly by all members of the association. Correspondingly, the use of these facilities is limited to its dues-paying members and their occasionally invited guests, is now policy. It's something that was kind of sort of maybe understood, but now it is policy. So now we know who can and cannot use our facilities. So this changes how we regulate our facilities, how they are used, and by whom. A significant change to policy FY12, entitled The Investment of Association Funds, was made that will guide the association's investment practices going forward. This topic will be covered by Director Novello in her committee report. In other significant board actions, approval for the 2025 Bowls USA Lawn Bowling Tournament was granted. This event is a great marketing opportunity for Sun City West. We held it here last year. With participants from all over the United States and other countries, Sun City West will be on display for the world to see. And as I mentioned earlier, creating and implementing a strategic plan was a key goal of this board. Such a plan has been on the board's to-do list for at least as long as I've been on the board, so getting it completed in March of this year is a milestone. It came together as a result of having a board that agreed that such a plan was absolutely necessary and a general manager who made it happen. Stephen is already working on how to accomplish what the board has given him to complete over the next 3 years. The strategic plan will drive how the association makes long-term decisions and budgets its funds. Decisions will become strategic choices and less emotionally reactive to various stimuli. Sun City West will continue to be a well-run, financially sound, and progressive organization that is the envy of other age-restricted communities around us. Stephen's first assignment from the board was to fulfill the board's second goal. He was charged with hiring an information technology professional to bring our current technology assets and practices up to date and to plan and implement for the future. Kyle Hockman is the association's Information Technology Director. Kyle, I'm going to have you stand up. I'm not sure people know who he is. So this is Kyle Hockman. He's the guy who's going to do our technology for us. And he's already started. Thanks, Kyle. He's been here only 5 months, but has already made significant improvements to our technology infrastructure that has already reduced capital and operational expenses and has enhanced operations. Technology is a key component of the strategic plan, so you'll continue to see enhancements in this area. So with that, I'll close by saying that what could have been a fractious year on the governing board was a very productive year. Yeah, we had our moments, but that's going to happen when you have 9 people with different perspectives working together. I'm proud of this board and have been honored to be its leader this year. I wish my successor, Christine Novello, and the new board much success in fiscal 2025-26. Please support them as you have all supported me. Thank you. I guess I will take questions if there are any. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Back again. Okay, at this point in the agenda, we'll go to agenda item number 4, which is resident comments. If you have any comments, please sign in the back, and then when you come to the microphone, please announce your name and your rec card number. We have a resident coming.
Good morning, President Leary, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Mr. Erno, and distinguished fellow citizens. Stay tuned here for something that's about to visit us all if approved. I refer to the BNSF Intermodal Rail Hub that's proposed to be built out of Whitman. Ground zero. Can you hear me okay? Okay. This will be the largest intermodal hub in the continental United States. It is a 15-minute drive to the access road from the intersection of R.H. Johnson and Grand Avenue. Things that matter to all of us are air pollution in a community that is now rated by the American Lung Association as the 4th worst polluted atmosphere in the country, Phoenix. Potential groundwater contamination, vehicular traffic of an additional 7,200 vehicles per day by 2028 associated specifically with that yard, and by 22,000 by the year 2038, all associated with that facility. Those are BNSF numbers. Road construction at $1.6 billion with a payback of only $1 billion at the 20-year mark. 18 million square feet of concrete poured to build a structure, which will divert monsoonal rain runoffs into an unprepared area threatening Highway 60. Electrical grid not in place and will need to be built. Road enhancements not in place and will need to be built. Wastewater treatment plant not in place and will need to be built. Who pays for that? We do, with our taxes. A soft number that we're researching and trying to come up with a definite answer on, but it is rumored strongly that 1.7 million gallons of water per day will be used for washdowns of trains. It will be a 24/7 operating schedule, 24/7. 70,000 jobs that are suggested will be temporary in nature, and many will be robotically replaced in many instances. No environmental impact statement is required by Maricopa County. Therefore, BNSF has not submitted one. If this becomes a national port of entry, you have a Trojan horse danger, a national security issue. of an attack on all of us because these carts will be packed up someplace else, shipped here to Whitman, right down the road, and opened there. The list can go on and on. I have one request of the rec center and one request only. Simply post the information that we can provide you to our citizens so our residents are informed of this event that's going down. The Board of Supervisors will be voting on this on the 20th of August. All 5 supervisors in Maricopa County must vote on it, not just Debbie Lesko, all 5 of them. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you informed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bud. My name is Dion Renner. I moved to Sun City West in September of 2024 for the amenities and activities offered by the Sun City West Rec Centers. That being said, you are doing a disservice to your members by not sharing information regarding BNSF's over 40,000 acre proposed intermodal facility, how it is affecting our community and potentially in the future. This proposed facility is a short 15 minutes from the wall of Sun City West. We were told that by the PORA and the rec center's representatives that this action is down the road, not happening for many years, and that you are keeping an eye on it. Well, that being said, that train has left the station. The Board of Supervisors vote on this August 20th, as Bud said. It's time to realize the impacts this facility will have on Sun City West and the surrounding communities, including air quality, increased traffic, noise, lighting, and many others, and inform your members. I can provide references to threats to health and human safety and the well-being of neighborhoods in close proximity to other intermodals that are much smaller in nature than this one. In the interest of time, I can provide those upon request after the meeting. If you do not appoint a government advocate to carry the interest of us members forward, you are failing in your duties as an entity. At least inform your members through your newsletter. You do more than just, quote, manage facilities. I have a sample letter and addresses we can provide after the meeting to those interested in saving our current way of life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Steve Mulholland, 135-539. In regards to the rec center, we got beautiful rec centers here. The men's locker room at R.H. Johnson, they put tile in, what is it, 2 years now? That tile is slippery as all get out. I don't know, and it changes from time to time. And I believe it might be the cleaning agent they use that leaves a film behind. That sometimes is really slippy, sometimes it's not. So I hope they look into it before somebody falls. There was a guy in there the other day, he almost fell in that, and all. And also with the pool itself up here, Palm Ridge. I've been up here a couple times this month, and they got algae in the pool. The wall is almost completely yellow. What is that all about, you know? Please help. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll follow up with you on that. We'll take a look at it.
Any other questions from the audience? I have none online.
Cindy Putman, Board of Directors, PORA. This week we had a standing room only in our open meeting, and a committee was formed about BNSF, although late. They are working for a PORA stance because Lesko is due to come and meet the board on the 27th. We do not have the facilities to send out to every resident because we only have our members. So I also ask that the rec center sends out to everyone, and we will help in any way possible. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. I will say that Stephen and I met yesterday with the president and vice president of PORA, and I cannot tell you how strongly we emphasized that we rely on them to be our advocate to all of these governmental agencies, and it is important that they react as quickly because they are kind of behind. They had an election recently, so they are, now picking up from that. But it's important that they are, as our advocate, that they are in front of this as quickly as possible. Any other questions? Okay, with that, I will announce that our next annual meeting is June 18th, 2026, 9 a.m. in this hall here at Palm Ridge. And I will adjourn this meeting at 10:01 a.m. and we will take a short break until 10:20. Then we will have the final governing board meeting of fiscal 2024-2025. See you at 10:20. 6:20 a.m. It is still Thursday, June 19th, 2025. And I'm going to call the meeting of the Governing Board to order. We've already done the quorum and the pledge, so we will jump right into our business. The first order of business is the approval of our meeting minutes from May 22nd, 2025. Do I see any changes, additions, or deletions? John, do you have anything?
Nothing.
Okay, then the minutes will stand as written. The next agenda item, the AFMA Proposition 407, has been postponed. They will do their presentation in September. This is at their request. And with that, we will jump into the committee fiscal year 2025-26 reports. If each chairperson in order will go to the lectern and give their presentation, that would be great. And we'll start with Director Novello for the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you, President Leary. For those of you who've been following along, I'm going to say President Leary a few times because it's great to get it right. So, good morning, everyone. I'm Christine Novello. I'm a Governing Board Director. And for the past year, I've had the distinction of being our Governing Board, our association treasurer, and therefore the chairperson of Budget and Finance. The Budget and Finance Committee, 8 very hardworking individuals, residents, owner members, just like yourselves, came together, of course, for the year. It's a 10-month working year, really, starting in September. 2 meetings in most months. Lots of work went in, but here are some of the highlights. There were 5 key areas that Budget and Finance really covers every year. So we start the year off with a review of that financial audit that our CFO mentioned in the annual report. That audit report by CLA, a public accounting firm, assures us that our operations are fully compliant with all generally accepted accounting standards and practices. And it also enables Budget and Finance to ensure our policies and procedures are being followed. And they are. So we go through the audit report, and then through the year, we also look at our insurance policies and renewals. Things like workers' compensation, health insurance, property and casualty, all this really exciting stuff. But it is important to us as owner members and as association members because, again, we always want to ensure that the policies are being followed, that there are opportunities for what could be improved in the future. So we look at all of those renewals as well. Every quarter, we have an opportunity as a Budget and Finance Committee to meet with the professional investment management firm overseeing our reserve funds. Absolutely essential to our future as a community. So every quarter we review the results as presented by our investment management firm, Cap Trust, to ensure once again that we had no questions about how those funds are being managed, but more importantly, to ensure that they continue to operate in full compliance with our investment policies and procedures. So we reviewed all of those quarterly with Cap Trust. And we also, as every committee does, we review every one of our standing policies for the association. There are 14 active financial policies. The Budget and Finance Committee reviewed every one of those to ensure that they are still serving the best interests of us as an association. We recommended, changes to 4 of those policies to ensure compliance with laws and so forth. But one highlight, of course, already mentioned by President Leary, is that we did recommend a change to our investment policy, FY12. This is a very important policy. This governs how our funds will be invested for the future. Understanding why it was important to make the change required significant analysis, so much analysis that the committee chose to commission to charter a special working group to analyze the situation and the opportunities to ensure, again, what were we still being appropriate stewards of our funds with the policy that we had, and if there were changes necessary, what would they be? That working group was chaired by our committee member and fellow resident, Mickey Jacobs, and ably assisted by one of our resident owner members as well, Rick Rufai. Those two individuals led the working group and all of the analysis. 7 months, 9 presentations of multiple hours. If you missed them, they're all available for you on YouTube, and they are all truly interesting. Trust me on that. I know I'm a bit of a finance geek, but nonetheless, very fascinating. So again, 7 months of work and analysis went into that. The Budget and Finance Committee recommended the changes to that policy. So a couple of key highlights of that change, if you missed it, were that the first piece is that we actually made a portion of the policy a bit more conservative, being the first, we recommended that our reserve funds be categorized as short-term, medium-term, and long-term in nature, because these funds do so much more for us than serve just current needs. They also serve in perpetuity the future of our organization, 20 years or more. So those near-term funds will be held more conservatively by policy. In practice, our team was already doing this, but we put this into policy. It's very important to have. So those funds are actually a bit more conservative now, but the longer-term funds can be invested more broadly and more for more potential return in equities in the stock market. So we changed the target there so that we went from 10% in equities to a target of 25% in equities as a recommendation. And again, the balance there is that those funds that will be invested in equities are the funds that we as an association do not expect to need for 10 years or more. So there's very little, there's a minimal, I should say, risk of those funds being lost. There's always some risk whenever you're investing. But we worked very hard as a committee to recommend changes that would be in our best interest and to minimize risk. So that's the total, or the highlight, if you will, of the recommended changes that the governing board approved at our meeting in May. Last and definitely not least, hence the name of Budget and Finance, we spend a lot of time on the budget. We look at the actual results to that budget and spend 5 months of our working year, many, many hours of analysis, diving into every single capital request, every single expense required, hours and hours of analysis done by every member of the committee. And we, as a committee, came away with the assumption as well and the recommendation that this was a responsible budget and recommended our findings to the governing board. So my thanks on behalf of the entire association. I'm sure you'll join me in thanking all of the committee members, and this is why I have a piece of paper. I don't want to miss anyone. So I'd like to thank all the committee members, including John Click, Mickey Jacobs, David Perot, Rick Rufai, Jim Scott, Chris Waller, and Ed Westell. They spent untold hours really plowing through everything on our collective behalf, and we owe them so much thanks. All 8 of us also owe thanks to our staff advisor, Mr. Cliff Swan, our CFO, tireless and eternally patient in working through our questions and the questions of the rest of our owner members. So thanks to all of them. And that, President Leary, is my report.
Thank you. We will hold all questions for the reports until the final part of the meeting where we have your comments. Thank you, Director Novello. With that is Chartered Clubs next. Since Director Chatton is unable to be here in person, he has delegated to Director-elect Nick Turner.
Good morning, everybody. Rather than paraphrase, I'm going to go through in a little bit more detail what John has written here. John says that being appointed to the SCW Board and Chartered Clubs Committee in September was a bit overwhelming. The learning curve for the Board and the Chartered Clubs Committee was intensive. And thanks to Casey Hooter, Recreation Manager, and committee members who supported me, we made it through. Some of the issues we dealt with were, in September, an accommodation request from Dance Sensations. They were asking for non-residents to be allowed to be club members. The committee took the request under advisement, and it was subsequently withdrawn in October. We had a busy month in October with the liaison assignments, capital and expansion requests from the clay and glass fusion and enameling clubs, softball capital requests, and the formation of an RRMP working group headed by committee member Nick Turner and Vicky Erler. In November, Happy Camp was retired with a yet unnamed replacement event, but I think we had an experiment there with the Munchy Mondays with the Munchkins, which looked like quite good fun to me. And Computers West and photography clubs made presentations defending their spaces as clay and glass fusion would potentially expand into their areas, and the tennis club requested an accommodation request for the West Valley League play. That accommodation was later resolved by the administration to allow for the league play. At a special meeting in October, clay and glass fusion clubs expansion requests were considered. The committee recommended that no expansions be considered until additional information was available, and the administration set up a meeting with all parties for further consideration. In February, the RRMP working group presented their latest version for consideration. The committee recommended the revised RRMPs to the Governing Board for action. Administrative meetings on the clay and glass fusion expansion requests were held in January and February. Representatives from all affected clubs and committees and staff were present. And at the conclusion of the 27th meeting, it was recommended that clay and glass fusion expansion requests be approved with the relocation of the photography club. Computers West would not be affected. This will be planned for the 26-27 budget year. March saw the clay and glass fusion expansion requests being recommended to the Governing Board as well as the Bowls USA tournament. It was an interesting and productive year for the committee, and I want to thank all committee members for their dedication to our community members. Providing our residents with the best possible experience in Sun City West is the goal, and they worked hard to achieve that. Signed, John Chattin, Charter Club's chairperson.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, the next report is Kay Williams, who is the chair of the Properties Committee, but she could not be here today, so she has delegated to Director Piaskowski.
Almost good afternoon. Okay, so this is from Kay. I'm going to read just what Nick did, what she said. The Properties Committee has concluded their annual inspection on all 4 recreation centers and the metal shop. That was done in September, October. Each week, a detailed report of our findings was sent to Russ Boston and Carl Wilhelm at each of our committee members. At each location, we identified areas needing painting, deep cleaning, safety issues, caulking, and routine building maintenance. Photographs were also sent to the staff when we submitted our report. Here are some of the future capital projects the committee recommended. An upgrade, the elevator at Palm Ridge to modern electronic reversal device. Install sunshades at the Beardsley Miniature Golf Course, as many trees were removed in the area. Install emergency lights in all bathrooms. Install several TV monitors in the lecture hall so the committee members and the governing board members have visibility to material presented during meetings without turning their heads, always around. Overall, our facilities are being well taken care of. Special thanks to Carl and Russ for spending the first 5 Tuesday mornings and the committee inspecting with the committees. Thank you for the hardworking members of the Properties Committee. Kay Williams, Property Committee Director, Chairperson.
Thank you. The next end-of-year report is for the Golf Committee. That is Director Rudy Grom.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rudy Grum, and I am one of your directors who is just finishing his first year on the board. And I can absolutely tell you it was an absolute pleasure to chair the golf committee this past year. During the past year, we probably had the longest meetings of any of the committees, as we met 8 times, plus we established a working group that met for 2 times during January and February to work on one of our policies. I'm glad to tell you that we really accomplished our mission. Like all the other standing committees, we basically have the number one purpose is to be advisors to the board of directors. And I believe we accomplished that mission in that we reviewed our policies and we made recommendations to the board, plus reviewed the budget that was presented by staff, and we made our recommendations and provided that to the board. Along those lines, we had 8 dedicated owner members who were part of that board, and I just want to say a great thank you goes out to Julianne Klieger, Vanessa Stevens, Kathy Lindahl, Tim Hurley, who's on the board, Ron Decker, David Miller, Al Klassmeyer, David Eichner, and along with our 2 staff representatives, Pat O'Hara, who runs golf operations, and Todd Patty. I just think it was such a pleasure to be on this committee this year, as we really did accomplish our mission. We advised the board, and we acted as liaison between the owner members and the board of directors. We really had some engaging meetings. A couple of them ran nearly 3 hours, but I think everybody walked away feeling that their voices were heard and our jobs were accomplished. And I look forward to serving, I believe, as the golf chair next year, and we will have a number of returning members, and we look forward to seeing people come to our meetings and provide their inputs, because we've got 7 wonderful golf courses that stay open essentially 365 days a year. And you've heard during the presentation by our general manager exactly what golf operations does and what our environmental services department does in keeping those courses running. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next end-of-year report is from Director Dick Rhodes for the chaired the Sports Pavilion and the Bowling Committee.
Good morning. Rudy said he was finishing his first year. I'm finishing my 3rd. So I look out on the audience and I see a lot of people out here that I know that I think are all very positive, and I'm thrilled that we have this many people show up for this meeting. I've sat in that before, but there were 6 of us, and that doesn't count the staff. Okay, so congratulations to you for him. So I've had the privilege this year to chair the Sports Pavilion and Bowling Committee. I want to immediately identify some of the people, or I want to immediately identify all of the committee members that stepped forward. Carol Card, Deborah Coker, Norman Falcone, who happens to be sitting in the front row right here. Norm, would you wave? Okay. He's at almost all the meetings. Congratulations, Norm. Robert Edge, Sherry Gingrich, Gloria Arai, Terry Fulkerson, and Paul Klecker. And, Kleckner. 2 of the members had to resign, one for competing priorities and the other was because of illness. I did not replace them. We met 8 times, had some very spirited debates and very spirited conversations. We have some housekeeping things that have to be done. Every committee has to review our policies. We do that annually. And I'm not going to go through them, but they're all policies on the bowling, your bowling, or something in the sports pavilion. And we did review those and came to consensus on the wording, and we forwarded our recommendation back to the governing board that the policies would stand as is. I think the key things for us, we discussed things that were really operational, and we recognized they were operational. Food service, I'm sure that a half a dozen people in here could tell me how good or bad the food service was in the bowling alley. but that's an operational issue. We did provide suggestions and comments to the general manager and to Mr. Zarek, and they were always very open and very receptive to those. But I think the key things that I want to talk about now is the capital improvement. The bowling alley and the sports pavilion are in line for over $1 million worth of repairs and updates in this coming year. And although that sounds like a lot of money, we've been planning this for years. We knew the day was coming. The pin setters that we have, we can't get parts anymore. The new pin setters are made in Eastern Europe, and they have to be shipped here by shipping container. So this is no small project. So we've got, I wrote this down so I wouldn't lose it. The pin setters are obsolete. The repairs are difficult, if impossible, to find. Now we're funding the replacement from this from the reserve fund. That means we have the money right now. We could write the check this morning for it. We don't have to go out and get it somewhere. We're not worried about it. And it's on schedule. So we're putting a lot of money into the bowling alley. We're putting some money into the lounge. Of course, that was already approved last year, but that construction will start very soon. Kind of a side discussion, and it's not a formal, it wasn't a formal recommendation to the governing board, but I've spent a lot of time in the billiards room. And so Gary Zarek, who happens to be Gary Wave, so Gary happens to be the manager over there, and he and Mr. Erno were very, very receptive to looking at the billiard room. And although that we don't have anything on the capital budget for, there are some things that can be done. The carpet is bad. We need to replace the carpet. You're going to hear later on in this meeting, there's going to be a request for funding for carpeting in there. And there are other things. We're going to fix the lighting and repaint it. And it's good. We could make it great. So we're very excited about that. The sports pavilion is a treasured asset to the community. There are bowling opportunities available. The Lizard Lounge is as a positive attraction with live music, bands, video games, sports games, trivia night. If you haven't done that, that's a really exciting thing to do. And it's just an overall great place to gather. I think right now I want to thank Jack Leary for giving me the opportunity to chair that committee. I have had experience in budget and finance, but this one has given me a deeper appreciation for the continuum of activities that's available to our homeowners. I'm not a bowler, so there were some raised eyebrows when I was appointed to the committee, but I think this was just a good learning opportunity for me. So at that, we have a jewel. Go play billiards, go bowling, go to the lounge. The restaurant now has changed hands and there's a new management in there. So we're holding our breath and we'll see if that's successful. I'm positive it will be, by the way. So, and at that, I'm going to wrap this up and I hope this has not been too long. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dick. The reports that you just heard from the Budget and Finance Committee, Chartered Clubs, Properties, Golf Committee, and Sports Pavilion Committees are the 5 standing committees of the Governing Board. They are committees that we staff every single year. The next 2 committees are no less important, but they are special committees. And the first one, I'm going to ask Bob Wilson to come forward and talk to us about the end-of-year report for the Torch Committee.
Thank you, President Leary. I'm probably one of the last to say that. My name is Bob Wilson. I'm chairperson for the Torch Committee. For the purposes of members in the room and online, Torch is a special committee of the Governing Board, as Jack has said, that is mandated to provide information to Sun City West community, on the Sun City West community to members. The committee has been working to provide this information since 2009. The name is an acronym. It stands for Tapping Our Resources, Citizens, and Heritage. We work to inform our members about the community and services available to them by holding a 7-session experience that we call the Academy in the spring and the fall of each year. With 48 Sun City West members participating, the Academy does a deep dive into the workings of Sun City West, both in presentation by key managers and tours behind the scenes of our facilities. We also have presentations from organizations that provide services to Sun City West members, detailing their services and activities in the community. We've graduated 2 classes since June of last year, and the members' participation responses continue to be enthusiastic. The next Academy starts October 9, so if you haven't taken it, you sign up now and don't miss out. We'll run that through 7 consecutive Thursdays with a graduation in November. The Academy information and format has changed and continues to change with each year to remain current based on feedback of participants and changes that need to be made. Based on feedback a few years ago, the committee eliminated the team projects, which were seen to be burdensome. As of last fall, we've also eliminated the meet and greet, which is usually the Wednesday before the start of the 7-session period, and combined it into session 1. We are also making significant changes to the Friends and Services session 6, where we hope to allow members to better engage with services or organizations that are involved with and available to members in Sun City West. The Torch Committee would like to thank the Governing Board, our General Manager, Stephen Arnault, and the Rec Center staff, with special thanks to Katie O'Grady for the significant work she does to make this all happen. And also the community organizations that continue to support and be involved in the Torch Academy. Your efforts allow the Torch Academy to provide a unique educational opportunity to residents of our community and promote the volunteerism that is key to providing a great experience to all our residents. I would also like to thank the 14 members of the Torch Committee who work very hard to create and manage the Torch Academy. We look forward to another successful session in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. The other special committee that we have is the election committee. So I will ask Luann Kent to come up and give her end of year report.
Sometimes you just have to come up with another idea. Board President, members of the board, outstanding members of the board, I should add. The Election Committee is a special committee of the Governing Board to oversee and administer the election process and supervise the voting. It should be noted that the mandate of the board is to protect the association. And as a special committee of the board, it is also the mandate of this committee by extension. This, along with integrity and fairness to all, was the basis for all decisions and actions taken by this committee. Our committee, and to whom I give special thanks, was made up of myself and Leslie Young as co-chairs, Merle Schwepke, secretary extraordinaire, Sana Sterling, Marshall Adams, Ron Capriotti, and Steve Murray. I'd like to give a special call out to Ron and Steve as outstanding new members of our committee this past year. I would also like to provide special thanks to Karen Roetken, Governing Board Executive Assistant, and Katie O'Grady, General Services Officer and Staff Advisor to the committee. Both Karen and Katie went above and beyond in providing guidance and assisting the committee in performing the duties as seamlessly as possible. I would also like to recognize the Rec Center staff for their support, especially that new clock in the lecture hall that I can actually see. Our meetings commenced in September of 2024. Two of the meetings were closed meetings for the purpose of formulating questions for the candidates forum. In hindsight, they would have been a lot tougher. The committee also reviewed and updated associated documents, instituted a new process for approving campaign material, and registration for homebound voting. The committee conducted 5 special events. In January, candidate orientation was conducted to present campaign guidelines to the candidates with an emphasis on integrity and respect during campaigning. Along with Katie O'Grady, we promoted online voting through a radio spot on KSCW. In March, Candidates Corner allowed members to submit questions to candidates and could be attended in person or viewed on YouTube. We also had a surprisingly successful Meet the Candidate evening, with introductions also being posted on our website. Additionally, an informal Candidates Corner was held during the Rec Center's Munchie Monday event, which provided an additional opportunity for the members to meet candidates in an informal setting, and I would certainly like to see that expanded upon and continue. However, the highlight of our election year, pardon me, is that we had 10 candidates step forward for governing board. Come on, folks, let's hear it for 10 candidates. To my knowledge, this is the largest field ever, and I hope that this interest in serving our community will continue. With a pool of candidates this size, it presented some challenges, but the candidates were quick to react to any changes or special requests, and for this, I sincerely thank every single one of our candidates. Almost 25,000 member owners were sent a ballot via email, and over 6,600 members cast a vote via email. 9 members also used the vendor phone line to cast their vote, and 319 members voted in person. There were also 3 homebound voters. In total, 26.9% of our owner members voted, marking this the largest turnout of voters where only the election was on the ballot. Well done. Results were announced following the closing of the polls, with Ann Becknell, John Chatton, and Nick Cannon being elected to the 3 full-time positions, 3 full 3-year positions, and Sandra Forsey being appointed to the open 1-year position. Congratulations, one and all. I will be providing a zip file based on changes enacted this year, and also a more detailed list of recommendations for the incoming committee to consider. However, another however, my favorite word, the committee asked that the governing board conduct a review of the following documents for consistent terminology, alignment with current practices, improved clarity, and in some cases, combining. Under Article 03 bylaws, owner member election meetings, Articles 3.9 through 3.11 regarding absentee, mail-in voting, and other methods of voting, that they be reviewed, and also 312 ballot vote on referenda. I do believe these can be combined and clarified a little. Also, bylaw 4.03, election of candidates.
improve the clarity. For example, better definition of elect and appoint, and also remove reference to absentee voting. Policy L13, authorize use of association common areas for association-specific political activities. Goodness, they could probably shorten the title on that thing. But anyway, suggest adding no posting of campaign material anywhere on Sun City West property, including the golf courses, and more meet and greet opportunities for the candidates, such as tents at Sun City West events. In closing, my position as co-chair has been fulfilling, and as I leave the committee, I am proud to have been part of this committee so committed to successfully ensuring a good and fair election. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. With all of the reports now being presented, Secretary and Director John Chatton, do you have a motion?
I do. I move to accept the June 2025 end-of-year reports as filed information.
If there are no objections, the reports will be accepted and filed. Do I hear any objections? Hearing no objections, they will be filed. Thank you, Director Chatton.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll now move to section 11, which is new business, and the first item is mine for the renewal of the Torch Committee Special Committee. I move that the Governing Board approve the extension of the Torch Special Committee through June 2026. May I have a second? Second. Second from Director Rhodes. The reason for this is that the Torch Committee is a special committee, so it must be renewed each year, and it is up to the Governing Board if they wish to do that. So we will take a vote. Yes, you are renewing Torch for next year. No, you are not. And I'll start with Director Hurley.
Yes.
Director Rhodes.
Yes.
Director Piaskowski.
Yes.
Director Novello.
Yes.
Director Graham.
Yes.
And Director Chatton.
Yes.
Okay, it is unanimous. The Torch Committee will be extended through 2026. The next agenda item is the annual renewal of the Governing Board Election Special Committee. I move that the Governing Board approve the extension of the Governing Board Election Special Committee through June 2026. May I have a second?
Second.
Director Hurley has seconded. The reason for this, as with the Torch Committee, the Election Committee is a special committee and must be renewed each year in order to continue its service. So we'll take a vote on this. Yes, you vote to renew the committee for another year. No, you do not. And I'll start with Director Graham.
Yes.
Director Novello.
Yes.
Director Piaskowski.
Yes.
Director Rhodes.
Yes.
Director Hurley.
Yes.
And Director Chatton.
Yes.
It is unanimous. Both committees are renewed for another year. The next order of business is a motion from Director Rhodes.
I move that the Governing Board approve funding in the amount of $56,160 from this year's capital improvement budget to complete the project in FY24-25. Seconded.
Seconded by Director Hurley. Director Rhodes, explain what this is, please.
This is actually, I mentioned this when I was giving my report for the sports pavilion. The carpeting in the billiards room has aged. We're actually projected to, this was scheduled to be replaced next year, but it's starting to fray. It's bubbling. If you go in there, you can see that there's very evident to that. There is potential trip hazards in there if that carpet bubbles any more than it's doing right now. So the proactive thing to do is to go ahead and replace the carpeting that's in there now.
Any questions for Director Rhodes from the board? From the audience? There are none online. Okay, will you please read your motion again?
I move that the governing board approve funding in the amount of $56,160 from this year's capital improvement budget to complete the project in FY24-25.
Okay, we will do a voice vote. Yes, you approve the motion. No, you do not. And I'll start with Director Piaskowski,
Yes.
Director Rhodes,
Yes.
Director Hurley,
Yes.
Director Grom,
Yes.
Director Novello,
Yes.
and Director Chatton.
Yes.
Okay, the vote is unanimous. The facts and finding motion is approved. We now move to the fun part of the meeting, so let me move over to the lectern.
Excuse me, President Leary, we have one more agenda item.
Sorry, I skipped over one. Director Novello, you have a motion.
Yes, indeed. I move that the governing board approve the expenditure for each project or expense in the amount shown as listed or approved within the operational budget, and authorize the general manager to sign the contract, purchase order, and/or check for each project or expense.
May I have a second? Second from Director Piaskowski. Director Novello, please describe this.
Certainly. The governing board has already approved our capital budget and our operational budget for the upcoming fiscal year, 25-26. But this motion directs our general manager to actually spend that money to start the process of procurement and expenditure. So it's an important procedural aspect of our budget process.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? I have no questions online. So Director Novello, would you read your motion again, please?
Certainly. I move that the governing board approve the expenditure for each project or expense in the amount shown as listed or approved within the operational budget, and authorize the general manager to sign the contract, purchase order, and/or check for each project or expense.
Okay, we will take a voice vote. Yes, you approve the motion. No, you do not. And I'll start with Director Chatton.
Yes.
Okay, Director Grom.
Yes.
Director Novello.
Yes.
Director Piaskowski.
Yes.
Director Rhodes.
Yes.
And Director Hurley.
Yes.
It passes unanimously. The motion is passed. Okay. Now comes the good part, the fun part, recognition. It's that time. This is the final meeting of this fiscal year, and this is the final meeting for three of us who have put in 3 years of our service to this community because we love this community. So with that, I'd like to recognize 2 of the outgoing directors and present them with plaques for their service. Director Rhodes, would you please come up? Congratulations.
Thank you.
So this says, Dick Rhodes, in recognition and appreciation of outstanding volunteerism and dedication to the recreation centers of Sun City West, 2022 to 2025. Dick has held the roles of Governing Board Director, Treasurer, and Committee Chair. So please join me in thanking Dick for his service. Good job, my friend. The next recognition, Tim, would you please come out? So while this is the end of Tim's third year, he's served on the board how many years? 8? 8 years total. So he's probably got a number of these, but I want to recognize Tim Hurley, in recognition and appreciation of outstanding volunteerism and dedication to the recreation centers of Sun City West. From 2021 to 2025, he was appointed for an extra year and then ran for the board and was elected. He served as governing board director, governing board president, and committee chair. So please join me in congratulating Tim. Good job, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, I'm Christine Novello. It is my pleasure as the president-elect of the governing board to present this plaque to Mr. Jack Leary, Director Jack Leary, President Jack Leary, in recognition of his volunteerism, appreciation, and dedication to the recreation centers of Sun City West and to all of us as owner members. Jack has served during his 3-year tenure in a variety of roles as a committee chairperson, as the governing board secretary, as the governing board vice president, and for the past year as the governing board president. So again, Jack, on behalf of all of the owner members and the governing board, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you. It's been my honor. I want to recognize an individual who has been very quietly assisting us, assists the board, and she's been doing this for many years. Recognizing Bonnie Ellis. Bonnie Ellis is our parliamentarian. Now, we run our meetings in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order. And sometimes when you're running a meeting, you don't have the opportunity to always think things through, and when a curve comes at you, you don't handle it very well. I am pleased to recognize Bonnie. She has been of great assistance to me as president to help work through some of the issues and the difficulties and how to run an effective meeting. I could not have done this without her, so I thank her very much for her service, and please join me in congratulating her for this recognition. You're welcome, Bonnie. I mean it. I truly mean it. Okay. Okay, that was fun. I will go to the comments section, and I will ask if there are board directors who have any comments. I'll start with Director Hurley.
Yeah, excuse me, I do have a couple comments, but first I want to thank the staff for all the support that they've given me for the last 8 or 9 years. I really appreciate it. Good luck to the incoming board, and it's been my pleasure to serve for 8 years. Thank you.
I originally had debated whether I was going to say anything at all, but I think that enough has transpired that it's okay. Like Tim, I want to recognize the staff. The people sitting in this row right over here, every one of them to a person, are the real heroes that make this place run. All we do is sometimes get in their way. And we need to focus that we're policy, we're not operational. They're operational. They're the ones that make it work. I'd like to just pick out one person if I could. I can't. I'm not going to. Because every one of them carry the load and they do a spectacular, spectacular job. And the other thing I want to say is the people, the homeowners, you, especially the people in this room, you're the ones that are stepping forward, not the silent majority that likes to complain on Facebook. I'm talking about you. You're the productive ones. You know, there's people that we have that are absolutely brilliant that help us do things. I'm just going to give an example. Tom Jones. Tom Jones was just out here. He may have left. Mickey Jacobs, that just did a spectacular job on the Budget and Finance Committee. John Hobalt, Gary Bosak, those are all homeowners, people like you that step forward and can make a difference. You can make a difference. All you have to do is to help us and step forward. We welcome your engagement. I was honored to be elected by a very wide margin when I ran for the board. I appreciate the fact that when Tim, who I consider a very dear friend and someone who's probably one of the best people that we've ever had on the governing board, appointed me to be treasurer 2 years in a row. And then Jack appointed me to be the chairman of the sports pavilion. That was an honor for me as well to be able to do that. I want to send a message to the incoming board members. Be accountable. Look out for the interest of the homeowners. They're why you are here. You represent them. You are their voice. Listen to them. If you have people that say, there's a really simple solution to this and I know it, they're wrong. There isn't a simple solution. We have an accounting firm that steps in every year and they are thorough to the nth degree. We have one of the finest investment management firms that's available. And they give us guidance and we accept it. So as my role as an outgoing governing board director, I thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm not sure I'm ready to step back in. You know, there are still some things I have to work through, but I will stay engaged and I will offer my suggestions. Whether you listen to them or not, it's your decision. So, but I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to sit up here and to be your representative. Thank you very much.
It's a tough one to follow. Director Fyskowski.
Thanks, Dick. How do I follow that? Really? Anyway, this first year of a full year of being on the governing board was full of challenges and many rewarding experiences. I realize I've had a lot of interaction with other governing board members and the staff. I enjoy being out there, talking to the residents, learning what they want, seeing what they want. I've enjoyed asking questions about the budget and all the other golf committees, watching everything on YouTube. So it is a challenge to be a director, but it is, on the other hand, very rewarding. While I have enjoyed being involved with the properties, that committee took a different action for me. Being a board member, I'm here to serve my residents. I think I try to do that, so please reach out to me if you have questions or comments or information. And I look forward to serving for the next 2 years for the residents of Sun City West. Thank you very much.
Director Novello.
Well, you all will be hearing a lot from me over the next year, but I would like to just briefly thank this governing board. This is now the end of my second year on the governing board, and as my fellow directors have already articulated, it's at turn a very difficult challenge and yet extremely rewarding. So I do owe a debt of gratitude to the Torch Committee because you got me into this. Participating in Torch, a number of years ago really got me inspired to volunteer my time and whatever talents I have to our community. And I really sincerely thank each and every one of you for supporting me. It's an honor to serve on the governing board. Again, a challenge and a lot of work, but something that, again, as a volunteer is very rewarding. This 24-25 governing board is leaving our community in an extremely positive place. It will be a very hard job and a hard task to exceed the achievements of this board, but I am convinced that together with the incoming newly elected governing board, the 9 of us will build on this success and work hard to surpass it. So again, my gratitude and thanks to our outgoing board members who have served us so capably and well, and my welcome to our 3 incoming directors. I look forward to my 3rd and final year on the governing board. Thanks.
Director Grom.
Thank you, President Leary. This has been an interesting year. I've really enjoyed it. I look forward to next year. And I just want to tell you, I really take to heart what 2 of our residents spoke about during the prior meeting. I think we need to do a better job in somehow supporting PORA. I hope that everyone in the audience is a member of PORA. I've talked to President-elect Novello, and I think she understands that we will make an effort. I know 2 of our directors-elect were at the PORA meeting earlier in the week. They understand the situation that PORA is in. PORA is an entity similar to us. They've got a role to play, but they have very limited authority, and over the years their membership has fallen to where they're in some financial hardship. But I'm just telling you that over the next year, I will work to find a way to better support PORA so that PORA continues to support all of us. We are 28,000 residents that live in an unincorporated area, and we rely on them to be our voice, so we need to support them. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Chatton?
Yes, wish I could be there. This last year being appointed in September has been quite an experience for me. Kind of being thrown in and not knowing much about the committee that I was on or all the actions that the directors were responsible for on the board. But it's been an incredible experience, both good and bad. And I appreciate all the positive actions that the board has taken that will impact our community far into the future. And I'm just looking forward to that. And I love living in Sun City West. It's a great place to live and play. And I look forward to being able to serve the community for the next 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, John. My own thoughts. 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, I looked at the governing board and saw some things going on, and I said, you know what, I can do that. And I appreciate the faith and the trust that our homeowners put in me to elect me to this board. I ran on a platform of making things better, And while I held multiple roles on the board, you'd think I couldn't keep a job. But I feel like I've made a contribution to the community. I hope that my service reflects that. I want to thank this board and previous boards that I've served with for allowing me to be part of this board. I want to thank the staff. They've been very supportive. I hope I've had your back, because I look at that as my job. And the same thing with the board directors. I hope I've had your back, because we've tried to make the board more functional. I think we've accomplished a lot. That's due to these guys, the other 8. You know, I'm just here to help point the direction. So thank you for your support. And like Dick Rhodes said, never say never. So I don't know if I'll be back, but again, thank you very much.
I'd like to, one more comment. I want to thank Karen Ripken. Karen is in the back, and she very quietly is in the background, but she has been an incredible asset to me and to the other, my fellow governing board members. So at that, Karen, I want to publicly thank you for being there and answering my calls at 4:30 in the afternoon and not saying a word about it. And so thank you very much, Karen. And we all owe Karen a very deep debt of gratitude. Thank you.
Yes, Karen, we could not have functioned without Karen. Although I will miss the calls on Saturday afternoon and Sunday evening, so. I will say that normally the comment section is at the end of our meeting, so we do have some business after that, so hold on. But I will ask our general manager if he has any comments.
Thank you, President Larry. Just wanted to say that one more time, President Larry. Nothing really more to add. Just again, I do want to show my appreciation for the governing board for their service and their leadership over the past year, and I'm really looking forward to the coming year and really diving into some new challenges and getting them accomplished. So thank you again for everything, and thank you for having me and trusting me in this role. I appreciate that and looking forward to the future, so thank you.
Thank you. If there are any guest comments, if you could please meet with Karen at the back and sign in with your name and rec card number, and then approach the microphone with your name and rec card number.
Thank you. My name is Kit Carter, 133879. I just want to thank the outgoing directors, especially Jack Leary, for maintaining the moral high ground, particularly this last year. And I just can't tell you how tickled I am to have an incoming singing president. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you. That sounds like a hold my beer moment. Any other comments from the audience? I do have one from online from Gary Bach, rec card number 135435. Can the rec centers advocate on things like the new school or BNSF, or is that restricted by some law such as bylaws, or due to being an age 55 community, or due to being a nonprofit? It's really more of an issue that we are not staffed or organized to have that function, to have a government relations or any other type of function like that. Del Webb intentionally set up PORA, popping my peas, he set up PORA as a way to accomplish that. So that was the design by Del Webb, and that's the way why, as Director Grom said, we rely very heavily, exclusively on PORA to help with that. So yeah, there's no rules, but we just that's not part of our business model. Any other questions, comments? Okay, then with that, if I'll ask Director Novello to join me up at the lectern. Christine, it is my honor to pass the gavel as the new incoming president of the governing board for 25-26. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you go. You don't get to keep it.
Do I do this from here? Thank you, President Leary. I had to get that out one more time. And this is a lot heavier than I thought it would be, but that's okay. I work out and I'm ready for that. So thank you again. And I really need to thank the 25-26 Governing Board for their faith in me. I look forward to serving as the president, the leader of the Governing Board, and as President Leary articulated, the president role is one that's an important role of leadership and facilitation, but it does require that team building and collaboration, and I'm counting on all 9 of us to continue to work together to better our community. So with that, I believe we have President Leary, shall I proceed?
Go ahead into your next one, yeah.
So the next agenda item is agenda item 15.1, where we talk about the other officers of the governing board. So in addition to myself, in the coming 25-26 year, our vice president is Rudy Grom. And our treasurer is Director-elect Ann Becknell. Our secretary is Director-elect Sandra Forsey. And proceeding on to agenda item 15.2. As already announced by several other folks, this is just a terribly, it's not really a secret in that it's confidential, but we make an official announcement here of the chair people for our standing and special committees for the upcoming year. So by virtue of her election as our association and governing board treasurer, Ann Becknell will be the chairperson of Budget and Finance. Yes, you can applaud. Ann just had to leave, I believe. The Chartered Clubs Committee will be led by Nick Turner. The Golf Committee will again be led by Director Rudy Grom. Our Properties Committee will be led by Director John Chatton, excuse me. And our Sports Pavilion Committee will be led by Director Dennis Horvath. We just extended 2 of our special committees. So our Special Committee for Elections will be led by Kathy Estes. And our Torch Committee will again be led by Bob Wilson. And that concludes those 2 agenda items.
Thank you. Okay, we're down to the last part here. The next governing board workshop is September 12th, 2025 in the lecture hall. The next governing board regular meeting is September 18th, 2025 in the lecture hall. And with that, I will adjourn this meeting at 11:29 a.m.